Several things of note on the Bucs schedule involving Tom Brady. The first note you see there, I think, is outstandingly good news. 0 cold weather games in the months of November and December for the warm weather team and the aging quarterback. They also have a very late bye, week 13. That's the latest Tom Brady team has ever had a bye since 2001. And then the bad news at the bottom, 4 games this season on short rest. And as you see, Brady has never had more than 3 in a season. So, Louis Riddick, let me come to you here. As you look at that, what jumps out to you as far as the scheduling for Brady and the Bucs?
Yeah, I think right off the bat, Greeny, the fact that they have 2 divisional games back-to-back, the Saints and the Carolina Panthers, going down to New Orleans, starting off, in that environment with an offense that really won't be able to get together during the offseason, and Tom Brady trying to get on the same page with his guys. Look, they could not have put them in a tougher position as far as starting the season off. And we talk about, hey, well, were division games going to be later in the year? Well, not for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then they play against some very good defenses as well. They play against the Denver Broncos, who are going to have Von Miller and Bradley Chubb is returning. They play against the Los Angeles Chargers, who have Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram. So right off the bat, this new offense in particular, which is going to be, the point of debate for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers early in the season, just how quickly can the offense get on the same page? They're going to be they're going to face some stiff competition and be put to the fire right away, which is something that you figure, hey, look, if you get all those primetime games, you have all these expectations, you have people talking about Tampa Bay as being a Super Bowl favorite. Well, we're going to find out, because they're going to have to face the fire and go through the fire right away, right off the beginning.
Absolutely. Mike Tannenbaum, though, that's the beginning. The end, I think, bodes very well for them. And you were down there in Miami. You know the warm weather teams and the impact of that. Brady got no cold weather games. How big a deal do you think that is?
Oh, that's really big. He talked about that. That's one of the reasons he signed with Tampa Bay. And Louis already touched on it. When you can get some of those colder weather games, or what would have been done early in the season, that really sets up well for him. They're going to need to play well down the stretch, because it's going to take them a while to get going. You go back to opening day. Think about all the years and the reps that Drew Brees and Sean Payton have had together. And now you compare that with Bruce Arians and Tom Brady. They may have a modified offseason. So going down the stretch, having those games in warm weather, they're going to have to play well. And when you think about 2 games against the Falcons, the Vikings, those may be critical games for them to get into the playoffs. And there's huge expectations, but it's going to be a work in progress.
Yeah, so last night with the schedule for Brady and the Bucs, sort of a Charles Dickens kind of thing, the best of times and the worst of times. We'll see how it winds up impacting them. Let me go to some other interesting things from last night. And Graziano, I'm going to come to you on this. How about travel for some of these teams? Let's see which team has to travel the most and which team has to travel the least. I can put those up on my screen for you there. The Seattle Seahawks this year will travel over 29,000 miles. And you see the Rams and Niners. It's always the West Coast teams that have the significant travel. Then look over on the right side of your screen. The Baltimore Ravens barely leave home. They could drive 6,000 miles over the course of a season and barely have it impact them. So look at the disparity in the travel there. And Ravens, Seahawks, look, those are both 2 teams not only thinking playoff thoughts, probably thinking Super Bowl thoughts. So Dan Graziano, as you look at those numbers, what jumps out to you?
What jumps out to me, Greeny, is the Seahawks they love going east and playing long-distance games. They're very good at it. Since 2012, the year Russell Wilson was drafted, Seattle has the highest winning percentage of any team in the league in road games played in the Eastern Time Zone. They're 21-9, including 6-0 last year. This is a point of pride in the Seahawks organization. Pete Carroll has talked about the program they put in place to monitor things like sleep and hydration and make sure that the players are prepared to fly across the country and play in the time zone far away. They even won a Super Bowl, Greeny, way back when in New Jersey. So a lot of travel for the Seahawks, but they don't hate that.
And Louis, I also look at the back end of Baltimore's schedule. Not only do the Ravens have the fewest miles to travel this year, but they finish with the Jaguars, the Giants, and the Bengals. And obviously, we never know how good or bad anybody is going to be. But that looks like a pretty light schedule at the finish. Feels like the Ravens had a good night last night, Louis. What do you think?
Yeah, there's no question about that. And when you're able to finish the season against teams that, what you are projected to be, considering the fact that this is a team that is going to come into a season with very, very high expectations, and deservedly so. I mean, that's exactly how, when you're looking at it from a front office and from a coaching and a player standpoint, that's exactly how you want your schedule to look. Look, this team is loaded for bear. There's no question about that. Eric DeCosta has done a tremendous job. They have added to some of their strengths, particularly, on the offensive side of the ball with their draft picks. They have really fortified their defense. Look, the Ravens are set up for a run here. They're going to have a showdown, obviously, Week 3 against the Kansas City Chiefs. That is going to be maybe one of the most watched games of the entire year on Monday Night Football. But this is a football team that schedule sets up very nicely. They get to sit at home. They don't have to spend too much time on airplanes. I mean, it's really looking good for Coach Harbaugh and his squad.
No question. Then the next one I want to get to here, and Mike Tannenbaum, I will start with you. John Gruden and the Las Vegas Raiders, again, they will open the new era of Las Vegas football, Week 2, at home on Monday Night Football. But look at this. They have 6 1 o'clock Eastern time games. That is the most for any team that plays in the Pacific time zone ever. No team has ever had to come east and play that early spot as many times as the Raiders will this year. Mike Tannenbaum, how significant is that for John Gruden's team?
That's really significant, Greeny, and here's why. Their body clocks, those are 10 a.m. games. When we were on the East Coast, we loved playing the teams that went west to east. I'm sure John Gruden's going to start traveling maybe on Thursday night, the latest on Friday, to get those teams, their body clocks ready to go. Because if you think about it, these are world-class athletes that are used to perform at 1, 4, 7 o'clock at night. They're not at their best at 10 a.m. That could be a huge disadvantage for them as the season goes on.
And Dan Graziano, with the NFL going to Las Vegas, I noticed they have 4 primetime games at home. So obviously the league is showcasing this new team, this new stadium, and this new city.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, we don't know at this point whether there will be fans in the stadiums this season, how many fans will be allowed in stadiums, if any. So the idea of the new stadiums being shown off is one that's probably for the cameras, right? Look how beautiful the new stadium in Los Angeles is. Look how beautiful the stadium in Las Vegas is. The fact that those teams have home games early shows you that they want to show those places off and that they're not overly worried about the potential for construction delays in those places this summer.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.